All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Speak Black Man podcast. I am your host, Jason B. Allen, better known as Professor JBA. And listen, I am super excited about tonight's conversation. I say that every week because every week is a great conversation, a different story, different experience, and most importantly, we're elevating a different perspective every week. So again, I'm your host. I'm excited. Make sure you go and subscribe to educationalentities.com. Get connected to ETV and this podcast series that is actually it's May and it's coming to a close this month as we go into June. But I also want to commission you and call to your attention my first book, Suit, Swag, and Success, which is on the website. You can get the book at educationalentities.com. Now, I'm going to go right into Jay's Corner. I want to thank everybody who supported Lily's Foundation's annual high tea Y'all, we had a great time for the grandparents and caretakers, kicking off our 10-year celebration of Lily's Foundation. We support grandparents raising school-age children. I'm going to go ahead right now and tell you to save the date for Saturday, October the 4th. It is our annual Halloween Gala celebrating 10 years of Lily's Foundation. So go ahead to lilysfoundation.org and get your tickets. Now, it is Teacher Appreciation Week. If you are viewing this live on any platform, please shout out and celebrate teachers. It is vitally important, especially at a time like this. I am representing State of Black Learning. I was an honoree in 2023 at the State of Black Learning. So that is one of the organizations I'm highlighting today. And also Georgia AAE, the American Association of Educators. They have a phenomenal regional director, Dana Williams, who in her personal time donates and gives so much to Lily's Foundation as a board member. So I want to highlight Georgia and regional AAE American educators, because guess what? It's Teacher Appreciation Week, and we have to celebrate teachers. Now, today's episode 13, is Everyday Heroes. We have a phenomenal special guest coming on, and we have an amazing lineup of the top 5 tonight and the questions. So last week, I had on my BFF. She was dropping knowledge as a Black woman raising a Black son in Trump's administration. What do we need to know to help the next generation to be successful, to thrive, and also be well? All right, that's it for Jay's Corner. We're bringing on our special guest this evening. I am honored to have this brother on as we are celebrating Teacher Appreciation Week. We also are going to talk about the legacy of Black teachers. So last highlight of the evening, Mozley Park Association, we had a student in the Kip family who passed away in Mozley Park, the community I grew up in. We are sending prayers to the Dixon family, to the Atlanta Public Schools, and all of the community that is mourning the loss of this beautiful child who was 10 years old in elementary school, and also was being raised by her phenomenal parents, and also her grandmother, who is still in the hospital from injuries. So prayers for them. Cam is our special guest. Cam, tell us who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about some of the amazing work that you're doing.
And how you doing? My name is Cameron Franklin, if you all don't know me. But before we get started, I want to say send my prayers and thoughts to the Dixon family as well. Shania, her big sister was actually band with me. She was a co-worker. She's family, so I'm just decided to make sure she send that love to her family as well. Okay, here we go. Now, a little bit about myself. My name is Cameron Franklin. I'm born and raised from Atlanta, Georgia, right on the west side, right behind the beautiful restaurant. After leaving, I went to Kip Ways Academy for middle school, and then going to Kip Atlanta Collegiate for high school. After high school, I transitioned to Howard University, music business. It's been my passion. I want to be the next record label owner. Back in the day, music publishing, that was my thing. After graduating from Howard, I came back home, became a music educator, band director at my alma mater, which was one of the most rewarding experiences in my life. I'm so excited. And through that work, I also got a little more into politics, working on several campaigns, starting off with the Warnock campaign, student engagement coordinator, when I worked on a couple of state rep campaigns. We won all of them. So right now I'm still a little political and training for sure. I'm just excited to be in the space. And a lot of my work is, it's community-based, community-focused, community-led. And that's where I am right now.
All right, Cam, listen, I'm excited to get right into the top 5. So let's go. First area, Teacher Appreciation.
Yes.
I love Teacher Appreciation Week. I feel like it's the ultimate dog and pony show. Okay, it's the end of the school year, purposely, in my opinion, because most teachers are burnt out. And it's kind of like, okay, hey, we're at the end. You made it. Let's celebrate you. Okay, now others may think differently, but that's my opinion of how the system works and the politics of it all. What is one thing you would love to see done differently in order to celebrate teachers? We'll start there for the top 5. Number 1, Teacher Appreciation. What would you like to see done differently to really impact teachers for Teacher Appreciation?
That's a great question. I actually never thought about that as an educator myself. I think one thing we need done, honestly, truly, is a little more focus on mental health. In a day we're human, right? Giving teachers like a chance to just decompress, like maybe have more have a sub come in for the day. All classes just subs, and teachers can just go do their work, get their lesson plans done, or just relax and take time for them. I think that'd be pretty exciting. For the most part, they always give us like, you know, food and snacks and free coffee and donuts and all that stuff, but really just give us a break, right? I'm in a conversation with a lot of teachers who are leaving the profession, and one thing they said was, "This is the only profession where you have to actually use the restroom, right?" As a grown person, like you can't even go use the restroom you want to. And I think giving those teachers that space to just decompress in this high stress job, and people don't like to think it, but it's really dealing with the future mind, the kids and future minds of now. Like it's a high stress job, man, and sometimes you just need a break, especially as Black men, right? We have to deal with
Wow.
this. We have to deal with discipline. I can be a music teacher, but still have to be. If a kid is being routed in the gym, it's my job to make sure I break up that fight or break up this one kid is just going off the rails, right? So it's so many things we have to deal with, and just give us a break, when it's possible.
So what I hear you saying, top five, number one is that we're not even going out of the way to say we want more money. Right now, we're saying give us a break. Like let
Right,
us
right.
use the restroom.
Yeah.
Like, treat us like,
Human beings.
workers that are valued and are appreciated. That's what I'm hearing you say. And I think that a lot of teachers will agree with you and say that, sacred planning time. It is sacred and it should be protected, but most times it's not. So I appreciate you for going into that. Top five, number one, teacher appreciation. Number two, perfect segue goes into why teach. Right now, DEI is under heavy attack. We're seeing it all across the nation with nonprofits, with schools, with the Department of Education, with teachers in the Midwest afraid to teach about Dr. King or Black History Month, notable Black leaders. Why teach? And so I would love to hear your perspective of this, and if this was kind of like a graduation, speech, a graduation ceremony, what would you say to the audience as to why is it so important that we have teachers right now?
Well, I have a couple of thoughts, but the biggest thing is community. I'm big on pouring back to the same cup that poured back into me. That's what brought me back to my high school. While I was in because I was in KIP and I was in high school, I always had school pride. So I understand that without my teachers, I wouldn't be here. That's from fifth grade through 12th grade, even to my college professors. And I think community kind of defines what I believe. I believe that if you're not doing something to support your community, whether you work in corporate, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a public servant, like what are you doing to give back to your backyard? And I think teaching is the best way to do that. And last but not least, education is important, right? It's a tool of freedom, it's a tool of liberation, and I think that it's our job to pull the youth up. If you look just down history, and at the end of the day, Black people we always taught, right, through our griots, through church, through family members. Right? We're telling stories, we're giving our history, and that's what the role of a teacher is, right? Your role to teach the next generation of kids to come back and do the same thing. I literally wouldn't be here without my mentors, without my teachers. Like growing up, when I came to KIP, my first in fifth grade was the first time I ever had a Black male teacher, right? And every single year, I had multiple male teachers who were for me every single day. My father was in my life for the most part, but I found my father, my mentors, all through my male teachers, right? So I think it was really exciting in the spirit of saying, Sankofa, you can't move forward without going back. And I think that's super important why I decided to go back to teaching, because at the end of the day, if they're going to be next, right? They're going to be taking care of me next. They're going to be voting for me next. They're going to be making decisions on my behalf. So we have to empower our youth. They're the next. A lot of people are just not really giving that the love we need. And we have to start paying teachers, like you said, to do this work. This is a serious work. It's just as serious as trying to find the next scientific breakthrough, right? Like a lot of the real pandemic right now was education, our literacy rates, math, and fine arts, like trying to create the whole child again, right? We're losing bits of our kids through, social media and whatever case may be. Who's going to put them back together? And I think the educators are on the front line of that work.
I appreciate that answer. And I will also say that fatherhood is not separated from this conversation. We have to set the standard. It used to be a song back in the church that would say to lift up a standard against them, right? What is our standard? What is our expectation for our young people, for our next generation? And so what I heard you say is that male educators throughout your journey in education was important. So we do need black teachers, and we especially need black male teachers. All right, I want to go to top five. Number three, youth voice.
Yes.
There's a huge enrollment problem across the nation. We're not really addressing it. Enrollment is low across the country. People are saying it's the charter school's fault. It's this fault. It's the schools. It's everyone's fault except for what we're looking at, or what we're not necessarily. We're looking at it, but we're not listening to our young people who are saying they're bored at school, they're anxious at school, they're overworked. I want to hear from you. What can we really do to reimagine schools that we really have youth and parent voices at the center of what we're doing to drive teaching and learning?
That's actually a really complex question. I wish I had a light switch answer for it. There's so many solutions that come to mind. One thing for me, I think, is this idea of elite capture, right? Like we see it as adults, right? Like once you join fraternities, you join different colleges, and you start to be in those rooms with people who are just necessarily moving up on the social ladder. That happens also on a middle school and high school level. So now you're only getting the kids who are at the top of their classrooms advocating for themselves, or you're getting the kids who have 4.0s and always get the scholarships, always got all the praise. But what are the kids in the middle, right? I know for a fact I was an AB student, but what are the kids at the bottom who need that extra support, extra help? Their voices matter too, right? So having those conversations, bringing their voice to the table more intentionally is very important, but also bringing their parents to the table, right? And how can we get to those parents when sometimes the parents just can't be at PTA meetings? The parents have to work double sometimes just to survive here in City of Atlanta, right? Is thinking about the whole family aspect of this whole situation and hearing their voices as well, and not just looking for the top 10% or the top 20% and hearing their voice. I think that's what we all need. One of the biggest things I appreciate learning is about design thinking, right? Designing along the margins. If we really take intentional time to build on the right side, the left side, everywhere in the middle will succeed. And I think we have to be creative around that, especially with new things like AI. I honestly feel like we're in the front. We need to be in the front of that before it's too late, because we all know once the top get it, people at the end are not going to be able to understand it, and it's going to be going like wildfire. And so we have to do a better job to maybe break down the whole education system and make something new. That's a little radical, but in the day, sometimes we need something radical to get things done right. And who's going to be that voice to make that happen? I think it starts with family and advocating for all families, not just families who just attend the PTA meetings.
This is why we have to listen to teachers, and this is of course why I've created this platform to really elevate the voices of black men who are teachers, who are school leaders, who are educators, community leaders, across the gamut, fathers. It's important that we hear these stories, because this is how we change the game. Now, perfect segue to go into top five. Number four, we have one more area, but the fourth area in the top five is graduation. You made a great point. It takes me back to Mr. Fernandez. Shout out to Mr. Fernandez, my former principal and mentor from Bunch Middle School. The brother was phenomenal, taught me a lot about how to work in the system and not be caught up in the system. And so with graduation, one of the things that he always highlighted was, we'll celebrate the kids that are getting all of the millions of dollars in scholarships, and the honor students and the athletes and the artists, the band students in the core, all of these student honor roll, principal list. But what about the kids that may not have ever received an award? I want everybody to just follow me, please. So you can, I'm setting you up to preach a sermon here.
Yeah.
What about the kids who never get an award? The first generation, not even first generation college students, but the first generation high school graduates, because they may really be living in the projects, like the life that people rap about and we hear about and people want to glorify. There are kids graduating this year who are fourth generation and the first to graduate from high school. I want to talk about graduation, and I want to hear from you. How can we make sure that the least of those kids who are maybe not at the top or in the middle, they may be considered at the bottom and barely making it across the stage to graduate, how can we support them?
For me, it's about creating choice-filled lives, right? Like I think whether people like charter schools or not. One of the secret sauces at KIP, so we have KIP Forward, right? They focus on career and college and career, right? When I was in school, it was taboo to say, "Oh, you're going to the military, you're not going to college." They look down on you. Now it's like you can go to the military, you can go into a trade, you can go into college, and everyone gets their shine, right? Changing the narrative that you can still be successful while not having a college degree. I think thinking about everyone, everyone has a different story. Everybody has a life they want to live. Our job as mentors, leaders, father figures, educators is to open the door as wide as possible for the kids to dream as big as possible and do what they want to do. If a kid's good at gaming, make sure he's on the gaming team. And now if he goes to school, if he goes to the military, or if he even goes just the trade route, he has the opportunity to be the best gamer alive and the best plumber alive. He could be the best football player in his neighborhood, but also the highest achieving in electricity, whatever the case may be. We have to create more opportunities for our students and expose them to that. Right? I didn't know about band until I was exposed to doing music. I didn't know about HBCUs until I was exposed to seeing those things. Right? If we're not lifting the veil of just community and seeing what's really going on, kids will never know. And kids that have questions, they're curious, they're online, they're searching all these different things, and they're going down different rabbit holes. But who's going to direct them into their purpose? Right? We have to find our purpose for them to find their choice-filled lives, and that's our goals.
Cam, listen, we have one more area, but I want to kind of just, throw in a bonus question here. Yeah. Everything that you said is what we need to hear. And it's the work that I'm going to say this is because every teacher can't do that. Exactly. Abolitionist teachers do that because what you are explaining is we're not just doing school, from bell to bell, from day to day. We are making sure that we're continuing education at home. So it's holistic, and whatever we're doing for the child or for the young people is impacting their families and community. Now I want to go here. Huge conversations across the nation around NAEP scores, and the children are graduating, and it's like they really kind of like are really behind.
Exactly.
What I want you to do in a couple of minutes is maybe give those seniors who are getting ready to graduate, parents who are listening, maybe even other educators, who are listening. What can we do to ensure that this group of students who are graduating in a couple of weeks, maybe even some this weekend, are fully prepared for careers or the workforce? Like, what is one key thing that you think we can do from now until the summertime to really help these young people be successful post-graduation?
Once again, it's a complex question, but I love it. In the beginning of the conversation, we talked about community, and that's the answer. We have to start making this a team sport, bringing in parents, bringing in teachers, bringing in cousins, and having these conversations, right? I had to, unfortunately, learn through mistakes, right? Whether it be going to college and failing my first class, or people trying to give me credit cards, or learn about time management. These are things people have. We have to reinvent the wheel, right? We have to sit our kids down, right? Sit our families down and talk about your story, right? We're not doing enough storytelling back in our community so people can learn and figure out what's next for themselves. Like a lot of times when I went to school, I changed my major twice. I was music business, and I said, okay, you know what? I want to be music education. I want to teach again. I'm cool with the music industry, right? I haven't had these conversations before, right? We just have to do that work. And if we're not sitting down and talking to our family, talking to our neighbors, and really making this a team effort to get everyone across the finish line, then what are we actually doing? I care about the kid that's at a public school. I care about the kid that's my next door neighbor. I care about the kid I see walking in the movie theater, right? I want everyone to succeed, right, man? And that's a goal. And I also care about the kids who are incarcerated too. We don't talk about that enough either, but that's another conversation. We have to make this a team effort, man. Sit these kids down and tell your story. Some will listen, but if everyone's telling their story, they might pick one thing up from that person, and they're going to create a whole child. And we have to do that. I wouldn't be here without all the nuggets I got from those lessons. So that's my solution. More community, more storytelling, and that's how we can succeed together.
I love that you brought up young people who are incarcerated and in and out of the system. That leads us into the top five, which is new beginnings. And I actually wanted you to talk about new beginnings for those who are going into new things. But I also think I really want you to kind of talk about new beginnings for young people who are right here in Georgia, in Metro Atlanta, that are trapped in the criminal justice system. And because I've been in juvenile since 13 and I've made these mistakes, and now I'm 18 and maybe have gained a little bit of wisdom, and I may want to try to do something different, but I don't have a pathway for a new beginning.
Yes.
I would love for us to, kind of be closed out on the top five
Yes.
with your perspective of how can we help young people who are caught in the criminal justice system and even young adults find new beginnings.
Yes. Once again, when I believe in grace, at the end of the day, they're humans, right? They're humans who make choices that they might have to live with for a set amount of time throughout the system. We have a lot of societal pressures that pushes a lot of people to do certain things. But in the day, once they rectify their wrongs, it's time to get them back into society doing what they love, right? Just because you're in jail doesn't mean your passion is gone, right? They still have dreams, and I hate the fact that we have kids. I don't want to get too emotional, but I have family members. I have a little brother who's been in the system before, older brothers in the system, and they still have dreams, and we have to still believe that it can be something great. It can be what they want to be. And if we don't support those kids, man, like we talk about literacy, but what about the literacy rates and the kids that's incarcerated, right? And once they get out, can they actually get jobs? And are we creating pathways for them to get careers where they can sustain themselves and create their own families and hopefully build up a son to not make mistakes they did, right? Like, so just giving them the opportunities, connecting them with the right people, having organizations like the Black Man Lab, man, where we have all walks of life in those rooms, and we connect them with Black men who can make some things shake for them. So I want to see that for everyone, right? I want to see even our women that's incarcerated, they're coming out, got a Black Women's Lab, be able to just come in and find family, right? And don't turn your backs on them. I understand you're stuck in those walls, but we can make sure that once you get on the other side, man, we're there for them, we're supporting them and whatever they want to do, and make sure they understand that this is not the end of it, right? Life is short, man, and right now we can't let the past determine your future. We can only keep moving forward, and I think that's what we have to do in this work. And it's also not easy. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
whatever we're talking about, it sounds good. It's just not easy, and we have to be okay with that. We're fighting for the people that came before us and the people going to come after us at the end of the day, right? Like, we have to understand this work. That's my last bullet, that this is not the work for us, it's for the future and the people that came before us. So
Yeah, man, listen, it's almost like you're preaching, but then it's kind of like, is he running for office? But
yeah.
also, I'm a teacher, so I'm like, I know that the classroom was a real place for you, and just the passion and what you speak about the possibilities for our young people. And I think that in a time like this, we need more people getting connected back to church.
Yes.
I always brought it to my students. The census data really reflected that 80% of American families are not connected, and not just church. You may be thinking about a Baptist church, a revival, to any faith-based
Yes.
like institution. And I think that there's something to that in the shift of why we're seeing more young people who are battling, emotional and mental instability and challenges around that, and the
Yes.
stories that we're not sharing, and how it can help them. Man, I really hope that people who have been a part of this conversation and who will go back and rewatch this will hear your words of wisdom. We are getting ready to close out for the evening. I know some people may be supporting and celebrating Cinco de Mayo, and I say,
Yes.
hey, I am all with it. I also will say this: if you are Black, now I'm with you when you're right. Jamal Bryant said this earlier. If you are Black or African American, if you are of the people, and you are not celebrating Juneteenth and Kwanzaa, but you're selling Cinco de Mayo and all of the other,
Yeah.
holidays, whether they're pagan or however you may classify them, you
Right.
may want to just, add Juneteenth and Kwanzaa into your celebration. Listen, let me say both
Yeah.
are phenomenal and needed for Black Americans right now, because they really reinforce economics for the Black community. That's just what I know as a
Yes.
teacher. I'm not trying to challenge anybody's faith, because the saints can get a little antsy about holidays. Now,
Yeah.
I want to close us out on this, man. Something fun. What What TV shows are you watching? What music are you listening to? What's bringing you joy? It could be movies, music, family, to anything. Let's tell us something good. What
So
bringing you joy in this time?
right now, what's bringing me joy is Sinners. It's one of the greatest movies I've seen through and through. It's
I
ancestral,
agree.
it's community, and so for someone, I tell my friends they're tired of me talking about it. But as someone who sat in the ethnomusicology class at Harvard University and watched that movie and learn about just knowing what griots are and how music is ancestral, it goes through,
Yeah.
it transcends time, right? And that goes to my point about storytelling. We have to get these stories told for people to understand, even to the food they were eating in the inside the movie. Like it's all ancestral. You know what I'm saying? Like I was
Yeah.
just on social media really quickly. They were talking about how in the Gullah Geechee tribe they were making red beans and rice. Right, my grandma just made that recipe the 2 days before I saw this post, and it's the same thing. And it's history in that, right? Like literally transit. It's almost like a time traveler, right? That's what we do, and I think we have. That's one of my favorite things to do. I can go down a rabbit hole. I love history, especially Black history, especially my history, because people are going to try to erase it, but we have to make sure we appreciate as much as the next person. And to your
That's
point,
good.
Juneteenth, in the recent years, man, my friends, we celebrate Juneteenth like it's the biggest, it's the global holiday. Okay, it's just not national, it's global. We go out, we have fun, and we have good times and good cheers with our brothers and understanding why we celebrate. And same thing with Kwanzaa, we all forced to read the same screenshots in our group chat every time when we can. It's a small thing. We're not expecting to become just the next Malcolm X or Fred Hampton, but small. If we just do some small things and make sure you appreciate your
Small
culture,
things, and just be conscious minded. Just be
exactly.
conscious minded. We have
That's,
lost sight of doing this collectively and celebrating Juneteenth and Kwanzaa this year. My prayer, my hope is that we do this collectively to bring people back into community. That we're in a major recession. People are not talking about it in the way that I believe that we should, but like higher learning, these colleges and universities are being hit. Local businesses are being hit. Pinky Cole was just on television talking about, yes, business acumen, but also the shift in the climate, for business owners,
yep,
especially small business owners, restaurants that are closing all across the country. Retail is suffering, schools are closing, hospitals are closing, but people are still living and people are still in need of things. And so, how do we balance what's happening in our economy? And I feel like, again, listening to young people like yourself that are reminding us about the urgency of economics and education is
yes,
powerful. Cam, thank you for being on. Today is special as we're coming to the close of the season and celebrating educators and teachers. You are a phenomenal teacher of this generation and voice of this generation. I wanted to say that on this public platform. And again, my brother, thank you for being on and lifting your voice. We will hear more of Cam and his work as the days come. As you see the clips showing this amazing conversation again, make sure you like and share this out with others. Please enjoy the holidays. Stay safe. Be connected. Be engaged. Encourage your loved ones, your village to start making a plan right now to vote. Major elections are happening this year locally. If the Trump administration is telling us that, hey, the power is in the states, well, local elections are the least engaged elections. Okay, that's not even on the state level. I'm talking about locally, like the things that are impacting you every day. Get your village out to vote. We still have some fight in the game, right? And I'm not saying vote Democrat, Republican. You got to figure that part out on your own. But be civically engaged, get the information you need to make a sound choice, and vote by policy needs, not by emotions. Please, okay? Because that's all I'm going to say. What's wrong with Joe Clark? That is my next blog that is coming out on the website, educationalentities.com. The fixation of Black men as disciplinarians of public schools. That almost can be a next horror film. Y'all tell these people to get connected to me. That would be a great horror film. But what's wrong with Joe Clark? That blog is coming up. Again, the season is coming to a close. I appreciate everybody's support. listening to these stories. And then again, I have to just end on this. 10 years of Lily's Foundation. Go to liliesfoundation.org. Get you a ticket for the Allen Wing. Support our work. And I will see you all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you guys for being tuned in for episode 13 of the Speak Black Man podcast. I will see you 7:15 on next week, Monday. Peace.